Who is ICE and why are they so controversial? Well, we do know they're not Border Patrol. They turned into the most powerful agency in the United States in the last year or so here. And with anything, they've operated pretty much without accountability to date. So let's take a deep dive into this one. Well, let's do a little background on who ICE is and what was it before they became an organization in 2003. Immigration enforcement and related duties were handled by primarily several agencies under the Immigration Naturalization Service, which is INS at the time, which was underneath the Department of Justice. Before 2001, INS was responsible for enforcing immigration laws at and within the U.S. borders, investigating immigration fraud, deporting individuals unlawfully present in the United States, border patrol and detention operations, and that was in coordination with the U.S. Border Patrol. So the U.S. Border Patrol, which was a part of INS at the time, focused on preventing illegal entry at the border, conducted surveillance, apprehension, and patrolling of the borders. And that's what, if you're like me, that's when I only saw them at the border. I mean, I was in Tombstone, Arizona, visiting the OK Corral, and I came back and there was a Border Patrol checkpoint. They asked me a question or something, I can't remember, but I thought to myself, guys should be down at the OK Corral. It's like, I just kept my comment to myself because knowing now that would be a worse thing to say. But again, customs enforcement, was handled by the U.S. Customs Service, which was under the Department of Treasury. After 9/11, the Homeland Security Act, it was part of 2002, dissolved the INS and redistributed its responsibilities into three separate agencies under the newly formed Department of Homeland Security. There was ICE, Customs and Border Patrol, and then USCIS, which is Citizenship and Immigration Services, which I don't even hear much of those guys. But what you see on the streets is guys wearing ICE logos or CPD for Customs Border Patrol and a number of other types of custom patches, which I'll explain later within the Homeland Security Agency, Department overall. Then we've got, what does ICE do? Okay, well, what do you think they would do? It's a federal law enforcement agency under DHS. Okay, immigration enforcement. Okay, via enforcement and removal operations, which is another acronym, ERO, and you'll see that acronym on jackets across videos you see within those people getting arrested. They arrest, detain, deport individuals who are in the U.S. unlawfully or who have violated immigration laws, conducting raids, surveillance, and removal operations, often in collaboration with local or federal agencies. And then they do investigations via Homeland Security, which is ASI. That's another acronym you'll see on uniforms and those gaggle of agents that sprawl all over a neighborhood. They investigate crimes like human trafficking, drug smuggling, financial crimes, cyber crimes, and transnational gang activity. But what they don't say they're supposed to be doing is getting involved in arresting people off the streets. HSI has broad jurisdiction and often involved in high-level criminal investigations that go beyond immigration. I haven't seen much of that. Okay, let's get into something else here. What ICE does not do, okay, ICE is not a traditional police department. They're not involved in local crimes, investigating local crimes like robbery, assault, and traffic and stuff. ICE agents do not patrol neighborhoods like local police, but they're certainly roaming around like they are, more or less like your local gang does. I certainly don't see them down in East LA, interacting with the Bloods and Crips. It's too dangerous for them. Also, it does not fall in the Department of Justice, like the FBI or DH, but under DHS. That's why you see DHS Secretary Kristi Noem being their favorite cheerleader, so to speak. So, what is real policing? Yes, in the sense that ICE agents, they carry weapons, can arrest people, execute warrants, immigration and criminal, investigate serious crimes. Okay, let's talk about their weapons. They're carrying more than just your traditional sidearm. They're carrying a lot of heavy weapons and stuff, especially M16s and other automatic weapons that are just not what normal policing is involved. They all act like they're a SWAT team, which they're definitely not trained in any which way, and that's what we'll get in next to. Looking at the basic training for these agents, it's supposed to be 13 to 15 weeks of basic training. And what's that going to consist of? Immigration law and policy, arrest procedures and use of force, firearms training, defensive tactics, surveillance, report writing, and courtroom testimony. Usually, I believe that's what we've seen so far to date is how to lie. And then the prerequisites: U.S. citizenship, valid driver's license. They do a background check, polygraph for some roles, they say, medical fitness testing. And we found out that, to date that this can all be cheated on, and they're just really dying to get anybody to come in. And then, it's amazing to me that they start entry level as GS5, which is the lowest GS grade that you can get. Now, some of them might be GS9 if they have some college education or something, but they're going to be GS5s. Now, we've heard a lot about their pay. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Now, Homeland Security agents, the HSI ones, have a little more training, which includes topics of federal criminal law, undercover operations, surveillance, firearms, interview, interrogation, cyber investigations. HSI agents are more specialized, engaged in complex criminal investigations beyond immigration. And then, of course, they have additional training that can be applied as they go through their career as a immigration agent. Now, what's amazing here, a lot of people think that they're getting these tens of thousands of dollars and stuff. Well, maybe they get a bonus of something, but a GS5 step one, which is just the basic entry is only $33,000 a year. Now, depending on locality, it's going to be a lot higher. Say, like if you're a GS5 in DC, that's $45,000, or LA would be $46,000. But it's just not going to be a whole lot. That's why they have to have those bonuses to get them to be doing this. What this means for ICE, you're not getting the best and brightest at that pay. I mean, they're probably getting folks who can barely pass a reading exam, and they probably have somebody cheating for them. And as we've seen, physical fitness doesn't mean nothing. They're certainly not like the military. You have 5 or 6 guys trying to manhandle one teenager. Someone in the military can take their left arm and bench press them down for that. Well, these guys are just pretty pathetic. Now, with all things said, they all cry about the violence against ICE. The White House claims more than 1,000% rise in assaults on ICE agents. 1,000%. Yeah, there's just love those percentages they use. But the data says otherwise. While the number of assaults on agents have increased, there's no public evidence to say they spiked as much as the federal government has claimed. Analysis of court records so far, only 25% rise in charges for assault against federal officers. And you know as well as I do by now is that most of those are lies. They just make that stuff up as they go. So I do not see very much of this being real violence against ICE officers. Now, every once in a while there might be something, but they have their senior drama queen, Kristi Noem, being their cheerleader, saying, "Hey, when we're being under assault, our agents have to be masked." And They don't have to be masked. And to speak of the basics of discipline, they have no discipline. They just don't, have any discipline at all. They wear mismatched uniforms. Not all of them have body cam. They all carry different types of weapons, like they just go to a gun store and just pick out whatever exotic weapon they want to carry. And the things that you really point out here, because of what's happening in Minnesota, ICE is not trained in riot control. So all that, fancy, pepper ball guns and other stuff that they're using against people, they're not trained in that. And that stuff's extremely dangerous. You already see, a kid or a young adult, male that has lost an eyesight, and because of that, that should have never happened. They have no training in large-scale crowd management. A large crowd will overwhelm them, and then it turns into violence, which brings up the next point. They have no training in de-escalation strategies for protest. Zero. So their first instinct is to go with fight or flight. They're going to fight with a handgun to protect themselves because they're scared. They're scared little pussies. Now, when it comes to non-lethal protest suppression techniques, they don't know how to use any stuff. And that's the riot equipment. Tear gas, rubber bullets, that. They don't know how to handle all this and know what safe distances are to be meant and how the stuff's used. And then the best thing I love is that they don't know anything about community-focused crowd negotiation. They don't know how to de-escalate a crowd. And I could see this at some point, that a crowd is going to see something violent happen, and then emotions are going to kick in, and that crowd is just going to overwhelm them. I mean, it'd be like a scene where I saw two British soldiers that got themselves caught up into a funeral for a ERO agent, and as soon as they were spotted, the crowd ran over them and killed them. Just took them apart. You just can't fight yourself out of that. That will happen. So it is just not something that is expected to get their hands out of and be able to know what they're going to do. But the evidence is clearly overwhelming that they just have no level of professionalism. They have no, what we call the military, no rules of engagement. They don't know what to do. Say, just pull out weapons just to threaten the weapon with somebody. You don't do that right in front of somebody's face. It's just not going to be the way to do business in a crowd. Because one person sees that, someone sets off some fireworks, and then when you get so many weapons in the same location, somebody's going to shoot. They're going to get trigger happy. It's just the nature of the beast what will happen. Gone over a lot of the basics of ICE and what's underlying in that. It is just so much out there that it just blow your mind. I mean, the level of training is just not where it is. Their reports of their reading and other mental skills are low, and that has been reported on quite extensively. But this next piece that I will cover will scare you. It is to really put it, it's kind of like a 1984 Orwellian playbook here. ICE is doing social media monitoring. It's starting to come out and be more, and I hope more people will get into this. But basically, social media has provided government agencies with a wealth of information about Americans. Political and religious views, personal and professional connections, health, sexuality, and more. ICE has acquired social media surveillance tools for years and has a track record of monitoring protests against its operations. Give you an example, if you look in the videos of people that they do protesting out there, they will come across the streets, really not their boundary of responsibility, but they'll go and out of their way and arrest those they feel that target leadership out there of protests, because they think that there's a dark, deep state force that's paying for all this. And there's these leaders that are running this. There's a upper level management of protesting, so to speak. I never got there. I mean, there's no job openings, but it's hilarious how they think there's all these Antifa structure of organization when there really isn't anything. It's just ordinary citizens going out and trying to do their best to protect their neighbors. Now, some of this stuff is just incredible. I through my research here, sharing with you, there'll be hopefully others that will break this out a lot more than what I'm doing. I'm just scratching the surface of this. The first one here, the tool they have is Shadow Dragon. It's a US-based cybersecurity and digital intelligence company, Shadow Dragon, which makes a lot of these tools. Builds is open source intelligence tools used by government agencies, law enforcement, military, and private sector investigators. Its core mission is to help users collect, correlate, and visualize digital evidence, especially from social media, public data, and breached data sets. So I don't think this is the only company out there that's producing tools. There could be a lot more. Now, ICE built a digital dragnet. I put that in quotes, a digital dragnet, by accessing data sets from private brokers that contain information of a vast majority of U.S. adults, often without judicial or public oversight. So a lot of this collection is, they probably have extreme overreach already. We just don't know it. They have access to our utility and personal records. That's our electricity, water, gas. They enable them to track, at least in theory, the location of 3 or 4 adults in the U.S. Our driver's license data reports how ICE scans the photos of everybody. Medical data reports from July 2025 indicate ICE is using vast insurance and medical billing databases. Example is ISO claim search. Might want to keep that one noted. To find people, which may include the information of U.S. citizens in mixed status households. Interesting. They've got a broad base of digital surveillance and social media monitoring. ICE actively monitors social media platforms to build detailed profiles of targets, their associates, and family members. Just remember, Facebook, they got it all. Mark Zuckerberg saying, right up there in Trump's first point of contact. Social net and AI tools. ICE use tools like I mentioned, the Shadow Dragon social net to scrape data from Facebook, TikTok, X, formerly Twitter, LinkedIn, and others. They also have engaged in contracts with Signal Labs for AI-powered 24/7 monitoring. They have Tangles and WebLock. These are tools from a company called Pinlink, allowed agents to track phone activity and social media across entire neighborhoods or city blocks. They have tracking, how they track protest activity. They have surveillance tools to monitor, identify, track individuals attending protests against ICE policies. And just like I heard in the news, they're going to do enforcement against individuals that are protesting. They consider anybody that protests to be part of a domestic terrorist organization. As crazy as it might sound. And then, of course, they have tools to track location tracking of license plates. They have license plate readers. And a lot of the city and county, in another video I saw, is the federal government has gone to the city and county governments and said, hey, here's free cameras to put up on your streets to help you fight crime. Well, it doesn't help anybody locally, but it's there to collect that data I just talked about. This also helps with them real-time tracking to use that data to do day-in-the-life profiles of track people's daily routines where they work or live. And then they've got advanced technology in the field that they have. I don't know if you've seen them with the look like tablets, small hardened tablets. Those have mobile face recognition. They have apps like Mobile Fortify to take photos of individuals in the field and match them against databases. So if they arrest you as a leader of a protest, they're profiling you already. They're building a database against you. This goes into what is the Orwellian police state they were going to. They have cell site simulators. These are devices that mimic cell towers to identify and locate cell phones in the Pacific area. They have spyware called Paragon Graphite. In late 2025, ICE renewed a contract for surveillance software capable of hacking into encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp on smartphones, providing access to messages, photos, and location data. And this is where I've heard a lot of people talking in videos of ISIS taking your phones. Well, we're going to take the phone and be able to scrape that data off your phone without you knowing it. And then, last but least, they're doing biometric database integration, so they'll be able to take your finger. I don't know if they're doing it yet, taking fingerprints on the streets, but that will be soon, where they have a device that's handheld. Just take your hand, put it on there, and put it in their database and see who you are. ICE has access to the Department of Homeland Security's massive HART, acronym HART, database, which holds records over 270 million people, including face prints, iris scans, and fingerprints. This database is to identify individuals, including those who have interacted with border officials, TSA, or other law enforcement encounters at the federal level. So, a lot to be said with two areas that are just touched here. Generally about what ICE agents are, and about the social media and the data collection that's happening on all of this. So just be tuned, keep that in the back of your mind to listen for more other media YouTube channels to come up with more information in reference to this type of data that's soon to be exploding in the hands of ICE. So be aware, be informed, and be able to protect yourself, protect your neighbor, and protect your community. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay kind, and as always, have a wonderful rowdy. Take good care of yourself and each other. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. I'll see you in the next video.